Nigel, hello. Welcome to the channel and welcome to being the first guest of the channel as well. Really looking forward to getting into having a chat with you.
Hello, Ron. Nice to see you, mate. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Should be good.
Good, good. We've actually known each other quite a while, off and on, played music together and whatnot, went to school with each other, but I think there was a couple of years difference between us. But both have now come into our love of Colchester United. It's me being a bit more of a longer supporter of them than yourself. But a few
To put
questions
it
just to get,
lightly.
yeah, to put it lightly. Just a few questions to yourself, just to find out more about you, really, as a Colchester United fan. The first question is, why do you support Colchester United?
Well, I think being a lad from North Essex, I think growing up, obviously, I got pulled into the allure of supporting a big Premier League team and all the glory that comes along with that, you know. And I did that for a lot of years, and I still do to a certain extent. But I've always been, a believer in be proud of where you come from and follow the local lads. And I've always had a love for football and the game. And obviously, I knew you were a big fan of of the U's, so that was an in for me really to try and get behind the local lads and see what I can learn about the team. And I think it's good that to support your local team whenever you can, really.
Awesome. So yeah, so a message to all of you COU fans out there. You've got a mate that does support one of the big Premier League teams. We all know how boring Premier League football is. A goal goes in, you don't know if it counts or not because of that lovely three-letter word of VAR. Um, get down, support your local team. You've got mates that are in and around the Colchester area, come along to a Colchester game. There's no VAR, League Two football, god awful referees, god awful decisions, like the Premier League, but if a goal goes in, unless the linesman sticks his flag in the air, it's normally a goal, so you can celebrate properly. So yeah,
You can
it's
give it
awesome that
limbs without there being any feel
oh,
bad feelings out, any
exactly. Yeah,
repercussions
yeah you
afterwards.
you can give it limbs, you can go crazy, and then you can go like that and see the linesman standing with his flag in the air and say some explicits towards him. But if
Some mild
not, you
gestures in that direction and
yeah,
whatnot.
tell him that he's ever so slightly wrong, but maybe not using them words, especially if you're in the South Stand. But no, that is awesome that you're a Premier League fan. First of all, I'll say the team you support. You support Liverpool.
Oh
Um,
yes.
you're a red, but you like you say you live in North Essex, so you thought I'm going to follow my local team, and that's perfect. Um, so how long have you been following Colchester for? Just to let people know.
For about for about a year for the 23-24 season, is when I started following them with you, obviously. So I came along to my first game. I believe it was MK Dons, if I remember correctly. I think it was the Dons at
Yep.
the Jobsurf Community Stadium. And it's it's a completely different experience to what I'm used to in the Premier League, but in a good way. It's gritty. There's none of that, that dirty word, VAR, none of that, thrown about in League Two. And so, yeah, I mean, for about a year now, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, really. There's in your local team. You're not in it for the victories. You're in it for you're in it for the tribalism. You're in it for the mates. You're in it for the beers before and after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your first game was Milton Keynes at home. It was the game when we were 2-1 up in the I think it was the 90th minute. And I don't know if you remember what you said to me after we lost 3-2. You looked over and you went, "Oh mate, I'm so gutted for you." And I looked you dead in the eye with a smile on my face, which instantly made you think, "I think this man is crazy." And went, "If you're going to support colu, you'll get used to this." And
You'll
I
get
think
used to it.
I think throughout the season, it unfortunately was something that we got used to. But
Did you
no, that
notice
like I
as
say,
well that my reaction to the pain of conceding a last minute goal or wherever it might have been, as you know, just as well as me, we got used to that quite a lot last season.
yeah,
My reaction went from disappointment, the first time it happened, to gradually more just accepting of it as the season went along.
the acceptance of in the
Yeah.
89th, 90th minute, thinking this 3-2 lead don't look too strong, but hey ho, hopefully this season that'll change a little bit. A few more quick fire questions for you, Mitch. I know the answer to this one because unfortunately it's the only away game we went to. But what was the best away day for you?
MK Dons again, just by pure chance, really. And what a stadium, eh?
Yeah, obviously, like I say, the pair of us, we are both into our music. And I think the first thing that we both said when we walked in was, oh my God, wow, this stadium would be brilliant to watch a live band at. Um, Unfortunately, the football on the pitch that day was woeful. It was towards the end of that reign. I'm not going to say his name. It's kind of like Voldemort. I'm not going to say his name, but we all know what reign it was under. It wasn't a good time to be a colu
It
fan
was
over.
dire to say the least, but it's
Yep.
you know when the ground's got a Hilton hotel built in the front that you're at least going to have a good halftime meal.
Yeah, well, I still remember. I still remember when we were sitting in our seat, and you go to a football ground, you get the obligatory uh, chips, pie, burger, something like that, and we just saw a woman walking in with a Papa John's pizza, and
Full blown
instantly,
14-inch pizza.
yeah, instantly you knew that this was quite a special stadium in a few ways. But yeah, anyway, your favourite Cole United kit that there's ever been of any of the kits ever released? What's your favourite one?
Well, I mean, I heard a few fans weren't so happy last season. Obviously, I've only been supporting a year, so obviously my nostalgia, and my knowledge doesn't date back that far. But I heard a few fans moaning about the stripes not being solid last year. I'm not sure if that's an opinion you share.
There was a few years ago, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, where we just got rid of the stripes. And at the time, it was a little bit weird, but you sort of sit there and think, well, having blue and white stripes every year, how many variants of blue and white stripe can you get? And it was a solid blue with, I think it had like the crest on the shirt as well, like embossed in. But yeah, a few people were sort of like, if you're going to do blue and white stripes, do them as solid. But the kit was quite nice. But yeah, I think a few people were sort of like, well, if you're going to do stripes, do the sort of solid stripes. But no, it's a good
And
choice
if
of a
people
kit.
could find one that actually managed to fit as
Oh
well.
God,
I
yeah.
mean,
I don't know. I don't know
the
if I don't know if
sizing, I'm
there's
not.
yeah, I don't know if there's anyone watching this from the club or anything like that. But please have a look into the sizing of the kits because I'm quite a big lad, but the size that I had to get to fit me is a joke. And I've seen
It's at
some,
least 2 or 3 sizes, isn't it,
yeah,
above
yeah. You sort
what
of
it should
expect maybe
be?
to go one size up, but 2 or 3 sizes up's a bit odd. But yeah, if there's anyone watching that's anything to do with the club, see if that is something that we can possibly look into. But hey ho. So watching at 3 o'clock or watching at seven
But
forty-five?
also, I mean, I mean, just go if I could, just going back to the kits as well. Before we move on to that, I
Yeah,
mean, I saw a couple of lads rocking in the South Stand last year with red Colchester United shirts on. And I was like, what the hell is this? That's like me rocking up to the Cop End in a Liverpool shirt with a blue liver bird. Questions would be
yeah.
asked. I mean,
The red
it just
the
looked
red
wrong.
shirt. That was back. That was many moons ago. My dad would probably be able to tell you the exact year it was. The red. It was back when I think we played Leeds in one of the. I think it was in the League Cup or the FA Cup, and it was around that sort of time. But yeah, the red was it's one that we've had quite a few times actually. I think 2 years ago we had a red away kit. We've had another one sort of prior to that, but it's not really one that we see all that often. But yeah, so back to the question: watching at 3 p.m. or watching at 7:45 p.m.
I'm just because of the general atmosphere that I experienced last year. It seemed to be the later kickoffs during the week got a much higher attendance, and therefore there was more of an atmosphere in the ground as compared to a 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff when I used to, I'd finish work, come meet you at the ground, and we could shimmy up, couldn't we? Because there'd be times where the whole row in the South Stand would be free, and you could just pick and choose your seat, which has its advantages. But when you're trying to build an atmosphere, it doesn't help.
Yeah, no, definitely. There was yeah, like you say, there was times where we were able to sort of spread out a little bit, but then there's a few games where everyone's in together and you sort of feel like you're a bit hunched in. But hopefully next season with the Cowleys in, the numbers can start to rise. And now the fact that that Ipswich are now in the Premier League. Hopefully their games won't clash with ours as much, and then you'll get some of the fans that like Ipswich, that like Colchester, sorry, maybe come along to them, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. So who's your favourite player to ever play for Colchester United?
I love how you're throwing me these questions like a seasoned Colchester United fan, like I'm going to throw something in there from the early noughties or something. But I mean, look, I can only base my answers based on what I've seen as a fan, as a new fan coming to the club with you. And obviously, you probably know what I'm going to say. From just looking at last season, has to be Joey Taylor, right?
Yeah, no, Joe Taylor is, I'll be honest, one of the questions that I've got, well, the next two questions, to be honest, I think that's going to be the answer. Yeah, what a player Joe Taylor was. Literal, natural goal scorer. Had a bit about him as well, knew exactly what he wanted to do, what he didn't want to do. And then obviously went on to Lincoln and has taken Lincoln in his stride. And obviously with Luton being relegated to the Championship, I think that's what Luton were expecting, to show, right, you can do it in League Two, then show that you can do it in League One. So in the Championship, I reckon he'll be in Luton's plans, and sky's the limit for him. If not, Joe, if you're watching, come back to Essex. The fans love you. And we'd
100%.
happily see you in a colu shirt again. Again, the next two, I think the answer is going to be Joe Taylor. A player you wish you never left?
Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it, Joe Taylor? And also, with the low knee, Alistair Smith last year, I was really impressed with him. And probably skipping for, Alistair Smith for me was one that I hope would have come back to the club just like Harry Anderson has. For me, he offered us something different going forward. Carried the ball, really attacking minded. So I was out of all the players that have gone and been released and stuff. Alistair Smith going, was also up there with with Joe Taylor and stuff like that.
Yeah. Again, we'll talk about Alistair Smith a little bit later on. But again, another player that probably like Joe Taylor hadn't really heard of. Obviously, Alistair Smith was at Sutton a couple of years ago, so we come up against him, and he probably ran the show then. But yeah, it's great addition for Wimbledon, and a bit of a loss for us. But as I say, we'll talk about the transfers coming in and out, and some of the players we've brought in, or the caliber we've brought in, is quite special. So hopefully
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say the loss of Alistair Smith, but the not being able to get Alistair Smith back hopefully won't be too much of a burden come next season. So in that case, I'll use the pair of them, Alistair Smith and Joe Taylor. Out of the two, which one did you wish we could have potentially made permanent?
Oh, Joe Taylor all day long. I think we both agreed at the time, and you touched on it as well, with his return to his parent club and then league back, loan back out to League One. He was too good for this level. There's no beating around the bush. He just simply was too good for League Two. The way his finishing ability and the way he just drove the entire team forward. We knew we had something to loan him out to League Two to see how he would cope. They knew instantly, they recalled him early for a reason. They knew that, League Two wasn't his level. And rightly so. We got hope. We got a lot of good games out of him, but he made such an impact at this level for us in a very difficult time for the club, I think, as well. We didn't get off to a great start. So even more so, it highlighted how good he was in a team that maybe, wasn't performing to the levels it should have.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, he came in under Ghana, was playing in that Christmas period under that manager whose name we shall not speak of. And even, yeah, as you say, even when the team necessarily weren't playing well, as soon as he got the ball, you could tell that we've got a bit of a chance here. I can't remember what game it was. We were playing at home, and it was a night game. The game wasn't the best, and I think it was Goodman just lumped the ball up, and it just bounced correctly. Joe Taylor ran in and just dinked it past the keeper, and that's all that he needed. And you could just see that was his that was his game. It was just give me the ball and I will try and score a goal. And most of the time, that's what he did. So this will be an
It's that
interesting.
fearlessness and that kind of finishing straight. It's that fearlessness and that ability to finish as well that you don't really see normally at this level, and it's nothing I've seen in League Two. Something that I can compare with another striker that comes off the top of my head. I think we were lucky to have him.
Yeah, I think if you was to like any colu fan, I think if you was to try and compare him to a player that we've had in the past that when he got the ball, you could just see that he was going to score a goal. The two names that instantly spring to mind for me are Kevin Lisby and Jamie Kieran. The pair of them were just natural goal scorers. They would be the fox in the box. They would be the one where, yeah, pull it behind the defence and I'll run onto it and I'll score a goal. And the pair of them netted probably easily 15 goals plus. And obviously, we all remember the season when we got promoted to the Premier League. Jamie Kieran, Premier League, Jesus Christ, I'm thinking ahead.
My
We got
God,
promoted to the Championship, and Jamie Kieran was a massive part to play in that. So yeah, I'd compare him to one of them two. So yeah, there was a few games I think last season where the pair of us sort of looked at each other and was like, oh, really, is that actually just happened? What is your worst colu memory?
my worst colu memory from last season will probably resonate with most of the support base. It wasn't a game that I was even at. I mean, me and you didn't do Forest Green Rovers away, did we?
No, no. I'll be
Um,
honest. I'm not going to lie.
and
I forgot about the Forest Green away game.
yeah, my pleasure. I thought I'd just ruin your
Thanks.
Thursday night there, mate.
Yes.
Yeah, but I was actually at work at the time, and if I remember correctly, that was I just finished work at on a Saturday, and we weren't in a good spell at that point. Not that we were at any point last season, but we went there thinking that this could be, it's as they call a 6-pointer. Even at that point in the season, for us, we needed to get some points on the board, and to have 5 put past you by a team that you're directly competing with at the bottom of the table to stay up, and a team that hadn't impressed themselves, to put it lightly. Not to insult any Forest Green Rovers fans possibly watching this, but you were down there with us. It just felt like we were doomed from that point, really, and it did feel like a bit of a death sentence.
Yeah. And I think thinking back to it, that was. I mean, after the game. Now you've said the game, it's bringing all the horrible memories back. Obviously, there was an incident after the game with Connor Hall and some of the fans, and it was at that sort of time. It was towards the end of like the Ghana reign that the players, it seems, turned on Ghana. And yeah, it wasn't great. And if only we knew what was to come as well as a colu fan. But yeah, enough about your worst memory. Mitchell, tell me about your best colu memory of last season.
Oh, my best colu memory has to be the. Now, forgive me if I get this wrong. Was it 5-4 against Notts County?
Yeah.
And if again, I think that was one of my first games, wasn't it? Because Milton Keynes was my first game at the JCS, my first game ever, and then Notts County wasn't soon after that, and I still
No,
hadn't been baptised in the way of League Two football, shall we put it
yeah,
so?
I think we worked out, didn't we? I think in your first like 5 games, you saw like 15 or 20 goals or something like that. Because
Oh, and I got the
there,
feeling in my head. I got this idea that this is how it is at all times. And you were very quick to pull me back down to earth and say, no, wait, hang on, Mitch. No, this is
nah,
this is unheard of. I thought you thought of me as a bit of a good luck omen for a bit.
yeah. What I'll do is I'll put a picture on the screen of the first sort of few games that Mitchell came to, and you can see the amount, like the games that he was at. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there were some big scoring games in there. But yeah, I think that's a game that a lot of colu fans would instantly sort of gravitate towards. If you was to say to them, what is your best memory of last season? I think they would say the Notts County game. It was obviously Notts County. They came up from the National League with Wrexham, and everyone was expecting them to be at the top, and then playing against little old colu and a 5-4 game. Goal early on as well from Noah Chilvers. 2 spectacular goals from Arthur Reed. Brilliant free kick, and then he thought, "Nah, I could do better than that." And then whipped one in with his left foot outside the box, and yeah, it was one of them where it was like, well, it was like the Michael Owen sort of quote was like, yeah, well, you can score four, we're just going to score five. But yeah, I think that and Crawley away, I think that would probably be the one of the two that people would say
Huge.
because
Yeah.
that I still watch the video. I have no idea how Tom Hopper didn't get a hat trick that day, but hey, we
Yeah.
beat them, we stayed up, so that is all that matters. So awesome. That
Massive
is
result.
they are the quick fire questions. Now we've got a bit more information about you, Mitchell, and your knowledge of Colchester and your sort of fandom towards Colchester, if you would. So now we're just going to have a quick look at the fixtures going into next season. Yeah, looking at the fixtures for next season, obviously opening game, we've got quite a nice local trip to Wimbledon. Then we've got Reading in the cup that was announced today that we've got them on Tuesday the 13th at home. And then obviously in the league, we've got the other Wimbledon of MK Dons. Jumping ahead, sort of in and around the sort of Christmas time, we've got Gillingham at home on Boxing Day, which is a good fixture for us. Swindon away on New Year's Day. So hopefully start 2025 with a bang with 3 points. And we finish the season at home to Barrow. If you remember the last game when we played Barrow, it was quite a feisty game. And then we've got the new boys. We've got Bromley on Saturday the 7th at home, and we've got Chesterfield on Tuesday the 22nd away. And then I'm just having a look. Playing
Cheltenham comes to the JCS on the 19th,
yeah,
just before we go to Chesterfield.
yeah, obviously, yeah, you got the teams that have come down in Cheltenham, Port Vale, and Fleetwood and Carlisle. We play all of them in the same sort of month. Actually, I don't think Carlisle came down. I think I just got that wrong. But yeah, you've got Port Vale, Fleetwood, and Cheltenham, all the teams that came down in October. So there'll be some big games. But any in there that sort of stand out to you? Any sort of ones where you look at and you think, oh, that's a long trip. Obviously, Port Vale away on Tuesday the 1st, but with Sky Sports and Sky Sports Plus saying that every team will have on average 20 games. Are these the games that we hope that are on TV that we can watch? Yeah, Mitch, any that sort of stand out to you?
Yeah, well, with that new Sky Sports format, obviously, hopefully, we'll be able to see a lot more of our team on telly for the fans that can't make it. But instantly, my attention's drawn to the, as you said at the beginning there, the so-called local ones for colu fans, which isn't many. I've heard many call this league the Northern League, and rightly so. Looking at there's a graphic as well showing, where the grounds are for the new season with the new boys coming up, and God, it's a hell of a slog from North Essex, apart from the likes of Gillingham and Wimbledon and MK Dons. Obviously, the likes of Sutton are gone, another London one that would have been quite easy to go to. Instantly, my first thought when I saw the fixture list wasn't actually a Colchester-related thing. It was looking at how far, just how far up the map Carlisle is.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Gillingham and thinking, my God, the Gillingham lads that go to Carlisle and vice versa next year deserve a medal.
Yeah,
But yeah, Wimbledon the first
the
day.
just to cut in on that, we used to have Exeter in our league as well, and there used to be the Exeter to Carlisle trip. So
Ooh, yeah,
looking at that was a long old slog for either fan base for that. That's one that you don't want to be driving up there for a 0-0 draw. You want your team to do well in them games.
that's beers and petrol money and then some.
Yes, definitely.
Now, just going back to our fixtures, instantly your eyes are drawn when the fixture list comes out to, your first game of the season, and, having Wimbledon with, with Gordon coming to us, obviously, which we'll discuss a bit later. Alistair Smith going there and Goodman being linked with Wimbledon as well. You kind of go there and, off camera, me and you were talking as well, and you were saying it's one of those games where you don't want those lads to do well against you with you being their old club, if that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
know that doesn't make much sense in terms of footballing, and just getting the result, but it's a bit of a pride thing, isn't it? When you've let a player go and you don't want him to pop up in the 90th minute and get a winner against you. And also with them being, a top table finisher, finished 10th last year, it would get us off to an amazing start away from home. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's I saw it on. I mentioned it to you, but I saw it on Twitter that when Goodman's been linked with Wimbledon and Alistair Smith has obviously now gone there on loan. Someone put on Twitter saying Wimbledon away's got a Goodman masterclass and an Alistair Smith 89th minute winner written all over it. And I hope that person's wrong, but
Yeah.
if he is right, um, damn it, that's what I'll say.
If he is
Um,
right, you won't be getting any congratulations
no, you won't get a
from us.
congratulations
But
from me. You'll get something. But yeah, no, the like you say, I think a lot of CoU fans when um when the fixtures come out, you instantly look at the teams that are in and around sort of where we are. And yeah, you look at some of the trips that we've got. Luckily, there isn't. We've got Port Vale, as I say, away on Tuesday the 1st, but then we've got them at home on Tuesday the 28th of Jan. So we've got the long trip up to them on a Tuesday night. They've got the long trip to us on a Tuesday night. So it's sort of evens itself out a little bit. But yeah,
give and take,
as you
give and
yeah, give
take.
and take. As you say, the league is getting very northern. Um, Obviously, Gillingham being close to us, we've got Wimbledon that are close to us, and it sort of gets hard from there to see what you deem as close in terms of this league. But yeah, like you say, Wimbledon away, first game of the season. Hopefully, take a fair few fans to that of all the new signings that we'll get into in just a minute. And with obviously the Cowleys for their first full season, hopefully can start off with a win.
You know, it's like you said, touching on that as well. It's become a bit cliche to say, as the managers say, especially higher up. You know, they say we'll take it each game at a time. But I think, you know, you can get caught up in a fixture list as well. You want to play the new boys and see how they perform. You don't really know, obviously, coming up from the National League, whether they're going to perform or whether they're going to go straight back down. I think League Two, like that's a bit more unpredictable. Whereas in the Premier League, you get clubs that yo-yo between, you know, the Championship and the Premier League. I think I've come to realise that lower down in the EFL, you can get teams that just go and grab that double promotion. Depends if they're on, you know, a run. It depends, you know, yeah, cash money, of course. Money makes the world go round. But Bromley at home at the beginning of September. It'd be nice to get one of the new boys quickly and see where we stand in that regard, you know, to the new lads coming up.
Yeah, I think every team wished that we had a Disney documentary and a guy in leather spandex running around in charge of their club. But hey ho, we digress. But yeah, so they're the fixtures. Now, what we'll do is we'll take a look into the transfers that have come in and that have also gone out. Right, so now what we'll do is we'll have a little look into the transfers ins and the transfers outs. We'll start with the outgoings, and we'll start with the players that were in on loan to us last season. So obviously Owen Goodman, Zach Mitchell, Riley Harbottle, Jaden Richardson, Ali Smith, and obviously we had Harry Anderson, but as we know, Harry Anderson is now signed. Mitchell, of them five, of Goodman, Mitchell, Harbottle, Richardson, and Smith, obviously, we alluded to Smith earlier, sort of saying about how good he was. Was there any of them where you were thinking maybe they could come back to us either on loan again or maybe look at buying?
Not to start on a negative, but I think Harbaugh was out of the question. I think for me, he made too many mistakes last year. He didn't bring to the team what we needed at that point. He didn't do what we thought he would bring to the team. Goodman, I think, you know, he was a hot and cold goalkeeper. He gave us a lot of good games. He made a lot of very important saves, but equally, he made some absolute shockers. I mean, some, you know, through the legs, through the hands, once or twice, absolutely fine, but on a consistent basis, you just can't do it at any level. And you know, with him being released, you know, it was kind of expected, I think. You know, the Sam Hornby thing surprised me. I think that when he came in at the tail end of last season for Goodman, we kind of got a bit of consistency between the sticks, and he was putting in some good performances and making some really good saves. And I think it surprised a lot of CoU fans when we released him, you know, even after Goodman had gone. Obviously, in the light of signing Macy, which we'll go into, it's not as worrying, but that really surprised me. I thought the lad, you know, would be a decent backup goalkeeper. Zach Mitchell, I think I really rated him. I liked Zach Mitchell. I think especially from set pieces, he really commanded the box, and he wasn't afraid to make a tackle. And I think Zach Mitchell got a lot of stick from the South Stand last year, from what I heard. But I never thought the lad was an issue. I thought he was really good. So, Zach Mitchell will probably be my answer to that question. I think if out of all of them, I'd like to see him come back.
Yeah, I think of the loans, obviously, like we alluded to, the Harry Anderson situation. Obviously, got let go, went back to Stevenage, got let go. So as soon as I saw that, I remember saying to my dad, and I can't remember if I said it to you, but it was before February was sort of even rumored to be going anywhere. I sort of said that that is just a smart signing. That is a signing that just makes sense. And then obviously where February left, having having Anderson coming in, it just made sense. And yeah, obviously spoke about Alistair Smith. Yeah, Zach Mitchell. Again, for me, the player that I compare him to was the Frankie Kent in the season where somehow we didn't get promoted. Very calm on the ball, very confident on the ball, happy to bring it out of the defence. Very much in the sort of similar style to what John Stones is like currently. Not more
Well,
so
that's a hell of a
equivalent, but
comparison.
yeah, obviously, I'm not saying Zach Mitchell is
Yeah.
John Stones, but obviously, when Stones gets the ball, he doesn't instantly think, I'm a defender, I'm going to pass it off. He thinks, can I make an attack out of this? Can I start pushing forward? So I sort of look, that's the sort of style that I see him sort of playing. He's not a sort of no nonsense centre half, he is a ball playing centre half. I actually remember saying that I wouldn't actually mind seeing him playing in like defensive midfield because he was comfortable on the ball. We had a good string of passing to him, short and long. Like I say, confident on the ball. So I thought
Which we
maybe
really
DM.
needed last year. Playing out from the back was a weak point. Anytime somebody did actually carry the ball out into midfield, we as a crowd and as a fan base just we didn't see that so often. It was either a sideways pass or a long ball, or you'd just whack it up the wing to Fevrier. Zach Mitchell actually did that, which was refreshing to see. It's something that the fans enjoyed watching.
Yeah, definitely. I think the other one as well, didn't sort of mention him, but Jaden Richardson, obviously played right back, was on loan at Stockport. I believe it was Aberdeen he was from. Um, Ended his loan with Stockport and then came to us. I thought he may be another one that might come in because he's what the Cowleys are after, a very fast, very athletic fullback.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a job there for us, obviously with the injury to Egbo that he picked up at Milton Keynes.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah,
Put
with
him
Egbo.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought maybe Richardson might be one that comes. He sort of fitted the Cowleys like MO sort of thing, but yeah, obviously we know what players we've brought in to play on that side. So of the players that were out of contract, we had Sam Hornby, Ted Collins, Tom Dallison, Triple M, Marley Marshall Miranda, Gene Kennedy, John Akinde, Che Cooper, and Al Amin Kazim. Any of them that you were sort of quite pleasantly surprised when they got released, or did you see the whole list and go, yeah, I can see why every one of them have gone?
There's a couple that I hinted to earlier. The Owen Goodman thing. I could see why he went. John Akinde. A lot of people. He was a bit of a cult hero. I know a lot of Colu fans. Absolutely adore the man. But again, he's getting on a bit. He's getting leggy. And I wasn't surprised to see him go. There's a couple of points last season where I thought the bloke was going to collapse and need a paper bag to breathe into. Um, but he's an absolute beast of a man. So physical on the ball. Um, Miranda, from what I was told, he started off at Colu very, very positively. Obviously, I can only come from my experience of watching Colu, which is for a very short period of time. How long was Miranda with us in the end?
So he wasn't with us that long. I think he's only 21, 22, and he would have joined when he was about 18. So only about 3 years. But
And you
yeah,
said, didn't you, that he'd had brighter starts, but we hadn't seen much of him.
yeah,
Um,
he was one of them when he first joined. He was a central midfielder, but we didn't really know if he wanted to be the attackive part of that, the defensive part, or the box to box. And then it was clear to see in the game that instantly springs to mind is the home game against the Gills. We lost 1-0. I've got the stats here, and he had 81% pass accuracy, 69% ground duels won, 6 recoveries. He got 7.1 match rating on FootMob. And he also got man of the match at the ground as well. And it was one of them where he was like, oh my God, this is the player that we needed. And he turned into being, do you know what, I'll be the one that sits, one that breaks up the play. And yeah, as we said earlier on, it's something that Colchester have always had that player. Like not last season, season before, we had Cole Scouse. Other players in the past, we've had Brandon Comley, we've had Owen Garvin, we've had Kem Izzet. We've always had that defensive midfield general to just break up the play. And last season, it was clear to see we were missing that. And Marley Marshall Miranda looked like he was going to be that player. But I don't know if he picked up an injury or if he fell out with the managers or
Yeah, I
what
was going to say,
happened.
like, with that being said, though, if you always know a player's capable of doing something, and yet he's not being utilized, and the fans see what he's capable of, and you've seen it, is that then down to, because is that then down to management and not using him effectively, or is that the player simply saying, I'm not gonna exceed, what I feel is an average performance because I just want to get the job done. I don't think a lot of professionals, would play below their means. I think, if a player is capable of playing a certain way, the 9 times out of 10 they will, and if not, it's a tactical thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's an odd one. Obviously, we now know that Miranda and as well as probably a player we'll touch on of Che Cooper have now both gone to Braintree, who just got their promotion into the National League. So not only because they're not too far away from us, but Braintree are going to be a team that I keep an eye on this year, mainly for Marley Marshall Miranda and Che Cooper, because I think the pair of them, it's weird because for me personally, the pair of them, they're too good for the National League,
Yeah,
but
I was going to say, no
just
disrespect to
they're
Braintree.
just ever so slightly off the pace of what League Two is. If there was a league between the two, that's their league. But they're just not quite League
Okay,
Two ready, but they're much better than what the National League is.
so you
So yeah,
think for the likes of Shea Cooper, because I saw a lot of Shea Cooper, and from what I saw of him, I was impressed with him. I thought he was a good player. um no disrespect to Braintree, but do you think it's the right move for him? Do you think he should have gone to, maybe someone else in League Two? Do you think he's of that level, or?
I think it's a great move for him. Like I say, I think the pair of them are too good for that league. So
Yeah,
if they stayed at us, they'd have played the odd game here and there, so they wouldn't have been able to show the league and the other teams what they can do. At Braintree, they're going to be the starters. The team's probably going to be made around them. They can show what they can do. They can perform on the big stage because the National League now, it is a good league. It's not like the old days where it's full of pub teams. It's got professional teams in there. It's got teams that used to be championship teams, League One teams, and it's a hard league to get out of. And I think the pair of them in that league are going to thrive and are going to hopefully then that's going to help them get their sort of move up. Yeah, you
good hat
alluded
trick
to
against Southend wouldn't go amiss.
oh Braintree versus Southend. If depending on what Colchester are doing that day and where we are, that might be a game that I have to go to just to
Yeah,
hopefully see Che Cooper smash one in the top corner.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Then
alluded to Sam Hornby earlier on. Obviously, with the signing of Macy coming in, to me, Hornby would have been a really good number two um, to Matt Macy, but obviously wasn't renewed his contract. Was that because we said to him, Sam, look, here's your contract. You're going to be a number two again. And he's gone, no, I want to be a number one. He's getting on in his career now. So he's going to want to be playing. I mean, everyone wants to play the first team football. No one wants to be sitting on the bench. Everyone wants to be out there playing the 90 minutes. And it has been rumoured and there's been pictures that it looks like he's possibly linking up with Chesterfield, which he could go there and be their number one. If he goes there to be their number two, that's a little bit of questions might start to be asked or why he wouldn't want to stay with us. But if he goes to Chesterfield and he's their number one, hats off to Sam Hornby because, yeah, like you say, towards the end of the season, when we took Owen Goodman out, we put Sam Hornby in. He, apart from the home game against Doncaster, but Doncaster were flying high.
I'm not
Um,
going to lie. When we put Hornby in, it left me thinking, why isn't this lad played all along?
yeah, yeah, and that's where I was sort of sitting there thinking, if Owen Goodman goes back and doesn't come back to us, Ham Hornby next year as number one, yeah, not bad. But obviously, yeah, like we say, we've obviously gone on to pastors new. One that we haven't really spoken about too much, Tom Dallison. Was that one that you were surprised with, or were you sort of under the bravado of, do you know what? Yeah, I can see that.
I think all of them leaving, with the Dallas had included. A lot of these players left. Obviously, all of them did because they would have been released before. We've had these new signings in. We weren't quite sure what the Cowleys were going to bring in. There was a moment before this new surge of incoming players where we thought, Christ, are we even going to have a first team? I know a lot of fans got a bit panicky because of the timings that these signings have started. But so yeah, at the time when Dallo left, obviously he was key at some points last season. But now we've started to bring the replacements in. That fear's subsided, for pretty much all the players leaving. I honestly trust the Cowleys to bring in, you know, players that they believe they can work with, huge experience, And at the time, yeah, like I say, Dallo was one that I thought, we're going to miss badly. But having looked at the incoming signings, not so much. I'm totally at ease now with it.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I agree with everything that you said. At the time when I read it, I was possibly thinking I'd maybe given him another year. But yeah, now looking at the players that we've brought in, I sort of sit there and think, yeah, maybe Dallison wasn't going to be there. Again, could have been another one that we said to him, look, here's your contract. You're going to be a squad player. And he's thought, no, I want to be that first team player. Again, towards the end of the season, he started to play better and actually be quite a sort of key part of the team in a defensive line that was a bit shaky at times. But again, we don't really know. Obviously, like I say, Sam Hornby linked with Chesterfield, Miranda and Cooper going to Braintree. Like John Akinde, haven't really heard anything about where he's going or what he's doing, but wherever Tom Dallison ends up, you're going to have a good player on your hands. And hopefully, if he comes back to League Two, he comes back to the Job Serve Stadium, we can give him a nice reception. Alameen Kazim, obviously, he was sent out on loan to the Irish League. He's now made his move after his contract was terminated, well, not terminated, but not renewed. And he's now at St. Pat's. I don't think that would have been a player that you would have saw much of last season. He came off the bench a couple of times.
No,
But
there's been a lot of surprise that he's gone to Ireland. I think because I think again, like with Shea Cooper, like I said, I think maybe I'm wearing my blue and white tinted glasses here, but I just feel as that, and no disrespect to the Irish League either, but I feel as though he was of a certain level which warranted, you know, something to, for us to keep him or for him to be playing at the same level. Um, I didn't see him again. It's another one. I didn't really see him at the early days of the club, but I've got it on good authority that Kazim was another one that started really well. Maybe he didn't quite fit into the Cowley's plans. Another one that maybe wasn't going to fit into the long term thinking. But a young talented player nonetheless.
definitely, all us colu fans will remember the game that Alameen Kazim had, his debut for the first team against Ipswich in the FA Cup. All that were there will remember. Probably the team sheet came out, saw the name, and was like, "Who's that?" After the game, everyone was singing his praises, cheering his name, and he was incredible in that game against Ipswich. So, again, like the other lads that have gone on to other teams or that are currently sitting there without a team, good luck to you all. Hopefully, you'll get the team that fits your lifestyle that you're currently in, and hopefully, we'll see you at the JobServe Stadium. Hopefully next season at some point. So moving on to the players that have been sold, two of them obviously going to the same team in Jaden February and Jay Mingy. And then obviously Connor Hall going back to Port Vale that we found out this week. Um, any of them that you were surprised about? I think a lot of CoU fans could see the February
All of them.
Mingy, the pair of them moving on. But yeah, any that you were sort of like, oh, I don't like that.
Well, maybe in my naive, new to the league mind, I thought we're going to retain players of this quality, you know. Again, but I think, yeah, Jaden Fevrier and Mingy, I don't think anyone could argue that, those are two players that made such a huge impact and were probably absolutely instrumental in us actually staying up last year. Jaden Fevrier, what a player, especially, the players that Stockport have signed, Mingy and Fevrier, are the ones that, do you remember how well Fevrier played against Stockport? He was unreal that day.
Yeah, I
And
think the
I,
Stockport game.
I just think fair play to him.
Yeah, I think the Stockport game was the what got them the move to Stockport. I think the pair of them in that game, they sat there,
100%.
saw them, and was like, do you know what? These are some good players. So yeah, obviously gone up into the next league, gone up into League One. Will be two players that I imagine a lot of colu fans will be looking at and looking on to see how they do. Connor Hall back to Port Vale. Now we've had many discussions about Connor Hall. I alluded as we were off camera. I've said to you that Connor Hall 2 seasons ago when he first came in alongside Luke Chambers was instrumental. Was a really good centre back, really strong, really commanding, a big leader, a player that I was really really excited going into the next season. But the Connor Hall we got was the complete and opposite. So yeah, your thoughts on Connor Hall going back to Port Vale?
Yeah, obviously, I'm not going to come on your channel and be absolute and too savage, but my thoughts of Connor Hall. I think for a man with an armband at any level needs to command his box, like you said. He needs to drive the players forward. He needs to organise. And to be perfectly honest, that's not something I saw from Connor Hall last year. I saw a player that was content, to the pace of the game, the pace of the press starts from the back, starts from your centre backs. The goalkeeper rolls it out. We're a team that was absolutely insistent on playing out from the back last year. And the ball ended up at Connor Hall's feet a lot from Goodman or from Hornby. And from then onwards, he sets the pace going forward. And it was just dismal, that the mistakes that were made, the pace that he set. I just don't think Connor Hall looked like a club captain to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you have differing opinions to me. And whether or not we should have sold him, I'm not sure. Like you say, he's been hot and cold. He's had, the season before you said he was a lot better, but I can only go on what I've seen.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're only as good as what your last season was. If Jaden February had an amazing season 2 years ago, then an awful season last year, he'd still be a co-United player because a team wouldn't sign someone on that season you've just had. Obviously, him going back to Port Vale, he's obviously Port Vale have needed a centre back, and they've sort of thought about Connor Hall, made the call, and you can see in the chat that he had with Port Vale when he first signed. He said it was like for his family and everything like that. And when you listen to it and you sort of maybe think about what he's saying in a different light, you can sort of hear that maybe him and his family didn't really enjoy his time at Colchester. Obviously, was getting a lot of stick from the fans towards the end of the season. And like you say, some people were sort of looking and go, you're not a captain. And towards the end of the season, I was in that boat as well. I was thinking, yeah, like I say, the Connor Hall that we had alongside Luke
There's certain
Chambers,
attributes you have to have.
yeah. And the bit for me that cemented the fact that maybe Connor Hall wasn't the right choice for the captain was when players like Fikra Kelleher came in. He was the one that was shouting at the players, getting the players amped up. All Connor Hall was doing was clapping
Mhm.
and going like, keep your heads. But Kelleher was going up to the players, praising them for when they've done well. He was then berating them when they've done bad. And he was going around every single player, whereas Connor Hall wasn't really sort of like that. So again, like we sort of said about the players that were out on the contract for Jaden February, Jay Mingy, and Connor Hall, best of luck for next season. Obviously, Connor Hall we're going to see in the league because also we Port Vale in our league. But Jay Mingy and Jaden February, hopefully they can help Stockport climb up the ranks.
With the Connor Hall thing as well, obviously You're big on this, and so am I. You kept saying last season, you never boo your own players. And regardless of how someone played, I hope he gets a good reception at the JCS. I hope Connor Hall comes back to the JCS and he gets applauded for his service. I'm not into this whole, even if a player didn't perform to the best of his ability, I'm not into this whole, hostile receptions for ex players. I think it's tacky, and I don't think there's any room for it really.
Yeah, what I will say then is obviously being a colu fan for the many years I have. When we play Port Vale at home, bring some headphones because he will be booed. He will be. I can see it happening
Just don't
because of
like
the
it, man. I
last
don't
season.
get it.
Because of the last season he had. I could stand here before you now and list off a whole list of players that, for me, I really liked and like done well, but when they come back, they were booed.
I said I wouldn't do this. I said I wouldn't do this, but we're on a, I'm talking about my Colu fandom, and I love it. But if I did that in the Cop End at Liverpool, and there was a player that came back, and I booed a player in a red shirt, I would be escorted off my own fans' terrace by the
yeah,
supporters. You
yeah,
you just don't do it.
like you say, I've no matter what players have come back to the club for me, I'll never boo them. I never have. I never will. They've played for Colchester United. They're a much better footballer than what I am because they're playing on that pitch. Um, so for me, when he comes back, I will applaud him. But I do think, unfortunately, he is going to get a few nasty receptions, should we say?
That's not to mean players shouldn't be immune to criticism, because you're allowed to criticize. A big
Yeah,
difference. You can differentiate between criticism and basically just hostility for the sake of it.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. So yeah, before we go on to the transfers that have come in, we'll just quickly talk about some of the rumours that have been flying around. We won't go into too much detail on these because they're names that I've seen all over Twitter or X or Instagram or Reddit or anything like that. So we've got Oliver Hawkins, who is currently at Gillingham. We've got Amadou Bakayoko, who is was at Dundee, but is a Forest Green Rovers player. George Lapsley, also at Gillingham. We've got John Marquis, who was at Bristol Rovers, who I believe has been let go. And we've also got Timothy Joel Ioma, I believe that's how you say his surname. These are all players that have been rumoured. A couple of strikers in there, a couple of midfielders. Timothy Joel Ioma, I think he's actually called TJ Ioma. He's like a right back, centre back. So they're players that have sort of been floated in and around. But as I say, we won't go into too much detail on them. There's a few players that obviously CoU fans will know about in Hawkins and Lapsley. But yeah, just a few rumours of some players coming in. But we will now move on to the players that have come into the squad. They're the players that have come in, and the players that have come out, and a few players that are rumoured. So we'll now move on to our squad list for next season. So these are the players that are currently confirmed as of Thursday, the 4th of July. As we're recording this, there may have been another signing that we're not aware of. So if there is, I apologise. But at the moment, goalkeepers going into the season, we've got Matt Macy, Tom Smith, and Harrison Chamberlain, who Chamberlain's the under-21s keeper. Centre backs, we've got Fikra Kelleher, new signing Ben Good. I'm going to say Ben Goodliffey. I could be wrong on that, but I'm going to go with Goodliffey or Goodliff. We'll go with Goodliff.
Yeah, doesn't
We'll
matter.
go with Goodliff. Frankie Terry and Frankie Edwards. Again, Edwards is an under-21s player. Fullbacks, we've got Will Greenwich, Ellis Ian Darlow, Mandela Egbo, and new boy Rob Hunt. Central midfielders, Arthur Reed, new lads Jack Payne and Alex Woodyard, who obviously Alex Woodyard was signed today. So it'd be really interesting to see him. And then under 21s players, Max Jolliffe, Casey Paris, Archie Oliver, and Milton Oni. Wingers and like central attacking midfielders, we've got Matt J, Connor Wilkinson, Awara Edwards, Harry Anderson's come back, new boy John Kayami Gordon, and then Oscar Thorne, Hakeem Sander, and Alex Kokashi. Apologies if I've got that wrong. Again, they're under 21 players. And then the strikers, Samson Davide, Tom Hopper, Bradley Iovan, new boy Lyle Taylor, and then Callie Green, Ollie Godzimski, and Kian Connolly, who are the under 21 players. So Mitchell, the new lads, Macy, Goodliff, Rob Hunt, Jack Payne, Woodyard, Harry Anderson. He's a new lad. Obviously, we had him on loan, but he's just signed. John Kamani Gordon and Lyle Taylor. Of them, what ones are you most excited to see in the blue and white next year?
I'm excited about Harry Anderson because I know what he can do. He made a huge impact when he came in last year. It was a much needed, loan addition when we got him in. We know what he's about. He got hindered with an injury at the tail end of last season. And he's hoping for a better season this year. And I think, he had genuine frustration at missing those games. So it'll be good to see what run he can put together and see him really affect the squad more this year, see what he can achieve. Um, Ben Goodliff, especially with Connor Hall leaving, he's an experienced player. The Cowleys are putting together a team of experience. A lot of them are influenced from their time at Lincoln and at Portsmouth. And someone who's experienced that's got Ben Goodliff written all over. He's had 5 seasons with Sutton. He could really strengthen us at the back. And I think the Cowleys, value that type of experience. Really good addition. And yeah, I mean, a particular fan favourite has got to be Gordon. I've heard that was the most excited I heard fans when I was scrolling through colu socials and I was seeing the signings pop in. I think the most excited I saw in the comment section was for the signing of JK of Gordon. He's from what Danny Cowley was saying, he's the perfect replacement for Jaden Fevrier. And I think that sentence is what got me excited because we all know how good Jaden was. He's a lad that's been at Palace all his life, so this is a big move for him. It's something different. He's played at this level with Wimbledon, but it'll be interesting to see, if he can bring the quality he did there to colu. And yeah, so that for me probably will be the most exciting, bit of business we've done so far.
Yeah, I think like you say, Kamani Gordon, and as Danny said, that he's the instant replacement for February. And when you look at his clips on YouTube and on Twitter or X, he does look like a player that is happy to get the ball, drive at the defense, happy on both feet, can play on both wings as well. So it gives us that versatility that if we play like a 4-2-3-1, we have Anderson on the right, and then we have Kamani Gordon on the left, and Kamani Gordon's not beating his player, but he can beat the player on the other side. They could quite easily switch and
Mm.
swap. So yeah,
Versatility
it's
as well, with those midfield signings. I think last year we struggled. We didn't have much interchangeable players. We didn't have a squad that, the managers felt that they could, swap somebody over, switch wings, or somebody you could slot in for somebody else. And what I see now from a lot of these signings is, some versatility along with the experience. JK, he described himself as a powerful forward. And that's exactly what we need. We need big, powerful players who can drive us forward and ultimately get us goals and win games.
yeah. And if you was to say to me that we need a player that is strong, versatile, and could potentially win us games, and you look at that squad list, and that's probably the player that you instantly gravitate towards,
Yeah, of course.
towards Kamani Gordon. The interesting one, obviously, the rumours that we spoke about earlier, of Hawkins, Bakayoko, and Marquis, they're all strikers. With Tavide, Hopper, Ihovin, and now Lyle Taylor at the team, and with the youngsters that we've got as well of Green, Kudbinski, and Connolly, do you see maybe a loan move for, say, obviously the under 21s is hard to sort of say. They probably be in and around the first team, but could you see maybe a loan move for Ihovin, or maybe one of Tavide, Hopper, or Ihovin maybe being sold?
For one of them, sure. I mean, sold, maybe not, loaned, definitely. I think when we brought Lyle Taylor in, Lyle Taylor himself said when he had a chat with Danny, it wasn't just his playing ability that he liked, it was the fact that he could help the young strikers, such as Tavide, such as Brad. So that hints immediately that he wants the young players to perform and ultimately play. But you'd have to say out of all of our young strikers, the ones that you'd probably see in and around the first team more often are the likes of Brad and Tavide, and Hopper. The other lads, might benefit them to go out on loan. But Lyle Taylor, helping the young lads learn their trade is definitely going to be a positive thing.
So we've gone into detail of the players that have come in, the players that have gone out. We've had a look at some of the rumours and we've looked at the squad for next season. So the final bit that we're going to talk about today, Mitchell, is what are your thoughts for this coming season?
I think the first one is the obvious one. We all want to see Colchester United climb the table. We all want to see Colchester United be successful. And we all want to see the Cowleys put in place a system that makes us achieve those things. And I think going into the season, having stayed up, doesn't matter in what manner we stayed up, you can't help but feel optimistic, with the players we're bringing in. Me personally, I'm excited to get my second season underway. I'm really excited to see where it goes. Having seen my first season with the ups and downs, it's kind of addicting. I like it. I like the ups and downs. I like, having the highs with the lows as well. And ultimately, goals wise, I want to see colu climb into the top half of the table. I don't think that's an unrealistic expectation.
I was going to say to you towards the end, what do you think your thoughts are on where we'd maybe finish this season? But is that what you're aiming for? Are you aiming for a sort of a playoff sort of finish, outside the playoffs? What are you thinking in terms of if we have this chat at the end of the season? Where would you be happy?
I could just got this mental image of you cutting this from this video and playing it to me at the end of the season when we've secured promotion to League One. But there you go. No, in all seriousness, no. I think with the players we're bringing in, I think realistically we can aim for top half, and anything more than that will be seen as an added bonus. I think progress is linear. Progress is one step at a time. You can't go nothing to everything overnight. So we'll see where we stand with these new boys coming in, and we'll take it each game at a time. And we'll obviously, the fans are incredible at this club. I've seen what the BWA do. I've seen the flags before. There's no lack of motivation for the players on the field. That's not the question. The support for this level's unreal. I don't think anyone can question it. So now it's down to the players on the field, and top half is where I'll be aiming.
Yeah, you mentioned the boys on the BWA. I'm hopefully going to get one of them or all of them. This is the thing. I don't actually know how many people there are behind the BWA, but hopefully we can get one of them on the channel just to talk to them because, it started off with just a few flags. It's then moved to all of the flags that we've got in the south stands. The two massive, I'll try and say this word right, murals that are in the south stand. Mural. There we go. I knew I'd get it wrong. That are in the south stand, and these are like me, like you. These are people that love Colchester United, that want to bring the club and make the club bigger and bring in the sort of things that, like all the flags and stuff like you see that in like the European leagues over in Germany, over in Italy and stuff like. You don't really see that over in this league. And
I'm so there for it. I love it. I love all that stuff.
It is fantastic what they've done, and they've done all of it off their own back as well. So we've got the Col United Open Day coming up at the end of the month. I think it's the 21st of July. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think we're aiming to do that, aren't we? I think we're going to heading down.
We are both going to aim to be there. The BWA are going to be there. They're going to have some of their own merchandise and bits and pieces like that. But get over there, chat to the boys. Like I say, we're hopefully going to get them on the channel. Me and Mitchell are going to be doing this together now throughout the season. So we're hopefully going to get one of them, two of them, three of them, 10 of them, however many of them there are. They are all welcome on this channel because the work that they have done.
Sorry to interrupt. I think my aim is you guys will be able to gradually see my ignorance lift and my education level for the club get higher and higher to the point where I'm actually competent enough to have a reasonable debate as such with Ryan about things. But at the moment, I'm just enjoying the club. I'm enjoying, going to the club with Ryan. I'm enjoying the match days, and bring it on. Love it.
Yeah, awesome. Mitchell, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to the channel. Welcome
Thank you very much.
The Up the Use family. Anything that we've spoke about today, get down in the comments, let us know. The transfers that have come in, that have gone out, Let us know what you think. Marley Marshall Miranda, was he that good for you, or is it just me seeing a player that I wish went on to bigger heights? The other players that went out on loan, or not on loan, sorry, the other players that went out that were sold or their contracts terminated, let me know what you think about them, and let me know what you think about the squad going into next season. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. The Twitter handle is official Up the U's. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on the bell notification as well. And as always, remember, up the U's.